The Vikings, though, they're not dangerous when you bury them, when they willingly do it. And they bury
Here he goes. Here he goes. He loves them. He loves them not. This is going to be a great day.
Listen. I speak truth. I don't care. I speak the truth. It was an embarrassing debacle of a loss to the Lions on Sunday. It has sparked the beginnings of an outcry for major changes in Minnesota. The fans have had enough. The whole just good enough bubble is in the process of being burst because this year it's not just good enough. There's no excuse this year. They're too talented. And Mike Zimmer was hyping up the team before the season. He was hyping himself up about what a great coach he is. If they don't want me, someone else will. Well, not to be a head coach, not based on this year. And now they're starting to blame injuries, a little subtle. Everybody's got injuries. Everybody's got issues. Everybody's got problems. Nobody's feeling sorry for you if you don't win games because you have too many injuries. Everybody's got to fight their way through injuries. And, the Vikings have been in every game.
Yeah.
They could have won every game. And when the games are on the line, more often than not, they urinate down their leg, to borrow one of your phrases. So that's what happened on Sunday. It was inexcusable the way they defended Jared Goff. This isn't Jared Goff 2018. This is Jared Goff barely hanging on to the starting job in Detroit. And if he loses that, it's CFL time if he wants to be a starting quarterback again.
Right.
That's where this Jared Goff is. And they let Jared Goff carve them up with the game on the line, the season on the line. Embarrassing, unacceptable. And let's see if they can pull it together tonight. But between two embattled teams that are on the ropes and on the brink of being punched through them, I got much more faith in the Steelers.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, if it's like a field goal type game late in the game, that would make me a little nervous. It would. I mean, we've seen Minnesota, of course, somewhat, I don't want to say crumble, but not be the best in end-of-the-game situational football to where, they've lost some games because of it. Of course, that play right there, hey, Courtney, can we play that play again, just the game winner there? Because, little details messed up, and it's unfortunate. And especially you don't expect it from a defensive head coach. But to me, if we could slow it down a little bit. See, and let's look at this because I broke this play down on my podcast yesterday. Number 24, Mackenzie Alexander. See him, Mike? He's over the middle of the three receivers on the left, right?
Right.
He gets pushed in by the middle of the three receivers on the left, and he has all this help in the inside. He has no business being on the inside shoulder of that receiver. And watch as it goes. See, he needs to get on the outside there where he would have been in the lane of this pass by Jared Goff. And as you see as it goes, watch, he takes this step in right here. Doesn't need to. Got three guys in there, really almost four, and he gets pinned. And because of that, now he's not outside of that receiver in the way of Amon-Ra St. Brown, who ends up catching the ball. And, those are the kind of details, for whatever reason, Minnesota has seemed to mess up at the end of football games this year. And you wouldn't expect it from the defense with Mike Zimmer and how good he is of a coach. I do think a lot of them, they were injured last week. There was no Kendricks. There was no Anthony Barr. So there was a real thing. There's no doubt. But I just think we've seen this too much. And I understand the Minnesota fan base getting a little frustrated for sure.
I know it's a day late for after further review, but after further review,
I know.
That's a pick.
Well, it is.
That's pass interference.
The problem is Mackenzie Alexander moves in as he's going there, so he kind of did it to himself to a degree either. It wasn't like the guy hunted him down. He actually tried to get in his way. So it worked out as a pick. I mean, I don't know if it was really – the receiver didn't go out of his way to pick him. He ran his route. Mackenzie Alexander decided to jump inside him, right?
Yeah.
So that's where, unfortunate for your Vikings.
I don't think he's going to stop that play, though. He's too far away. Even if he doesn't get picked there,
maybe not.
Or set himself up to be picked. It's almost like he was setting a screen. I don't know that he peels away and gets there, but just another reason why it was a horrible defensive design by a defensive head coach who then was bemoaning the fact that they didn't use sufficiently good 2-point conversion plays, running it inside. Well, you're the head coach, Mike. You're the one who's got to be responsible for these things. You decide when to go for two, and your decision on when to go for two needs to be influenced by how you feel about the predetermined 2-point plays. That's not how it works where you just say, okay, we're going for 2. Hey, offensive coordinator, come up with something. Before the game, they have their menu of the plays they would use in that setting. So unless you are completely and totally disconnected from the offense, and there's a chance Mike Zimmer is completely and totally disconnected, completely and totally abdicated his responsibility for that side of the ball to Clint Kubiak, and just says, yeah, go for 2 without any knowledge of what the play is going to be, that's unacceptable. You need to know. You should know. The good coaches know. The best coaches know what the 2-point conversion plays are for that week, because that's a factor in deciding whether to go for 2.
No question, Mike. I mean, that is part of being a head coach. And, I do think there's, defensive head coaches who lose sight of some of the little details that are going on in the offensive side of the ball. I know, you're right. Hey, and it goes the other way around, too. There's some offensive coaches out there that they lose sight of what their defense does in certain situations because they're so worried about calling plays and doing things that they got to do. But you're right, not the best ones. Not the best ones. Of course, and we know who the best one is. Belichick, certainly. He'd be sitting there going, I think we need, more. The famous story from the Falcons Super Bowl is Belichick kind of having a crystal ball and realizing that this game could get a little crazy. And he tells Josh McDaniels to have a few extra 2-point conversion plays in the game plan this week. I don't know how this game's going to go. We might get it a shootout. We might get behind. Hey, Josh, we usually go into the game having 3 or 4. Let's have 6 or 7 this week. I mean, that is what a head coach does. There's no doubt. And, I don't love that Mike Zimmer kind of blames the offense. The offense, as you'll say, you watched it. They've carried the football team for the better part of the year this year. The offense has been good. It's been very good. They've had some moments here and there. I understand that, but the offense certainly isn't the problem. The defense has been more of the problem this year, and it's, in the bottom, 10 in football as far as defense is concerned.
Do you think it's possible, and I just had this thought, and sometimes I have a thought and I blurt it out and it works, and sometimes it doesn't, but I'm going to blurt it out this time. Is it possible that some head coaches who are experts on one side of the ball don't get the best possible coordinator on that side of the ball because they plan to be involved anyway? And if you don't get the best possible coordinator, you are more involved than you need to be, and that causes you've only got so many hours in the day, only so many days in the week to get ready for a game. Maybe that, because you look at the defensive coordinators in Minnesota, one of the co-defensive coordinators is his son. Hello, the nepotism bell starts ringing again. Does Mike Zimmer have to be involved in the defense because he doesn't have a top-flight defensive coordinator because I'm the defensive coordinator?
Yeah.
I wonder whether it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that you don't load up with somebody that you can entrust the defense to because I don't need to. That's my side of the ball. And then before you know it, you got to roll up your sleeves and you got to be the defensive coordinator because the guy you got isn't good enough.
I think that does happen. And of course, they understand that the perception is, hey, I'm a defensive head coach, and if our defense isn't good, that looks even worse on me. So, you do have to roll up your sleeves and then, get a little bit more involved that way. I think some of the better defensive teams we've seen in the history of football that had defensive head coaches, they had a defensive guy they could really, really trust. Let's say like a Tony Dungy, could really, really trust someone, and then he could keep his eye on everything while adding some, knowledge to the defense on a weekly basis to go, hey, I think we should do this or that or this, and, come up with it that way, whether it was Monty Kiffin or I can't remember who his D coordinator was in Indianapolis either way. But, I think there is an aspect of that, Mike, that's true. There's no doubt about that, and, that's what happens when you're a defensive head coach. Listen, I'd rather the defensive head coach be involved in the defense than I hate when the defensive head coach goes to a team and then doesn't do anything with the defense, and then you go, man, what the hell happened? You got this job because of how great of a defensive mind you were. You got to instill your philosophy and your scheme here, and then, okay, maybe when you got that set, you can go back to being the head coach, the manager of everything. But I think that's a real aspect, Mike, no doubt.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.